What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to take a look at the games that I got for Christmas. We got 19 games to go over. They range, actually, we got a very good diversity here. A lot of games from different generations, different consoles, platforms, all that jazz. So this should be a lot of fun. The family is an amazing gift giver kind of organization. My wife, my daughter, my friends. So we got some really cool stuff. Some of these games I forgot existed. Well, actually, one in particular I'm looking at over here. But let's get started. So let's start with a collection of games that you might, I think, know the franchise, and it's the Little Big Planet franchise. So funny enough, with Little Big Planet, I played these games, but I rented them. / my cousin actually had them. The first time I think I ever saw Little Big Planet, I went over to my grandmother's. It could have maybe actually been over a Christmas period, and my cousin was doing like the level creator. I was like, what is this game? And I wasn't like super into it. I'm still not super into it, but it's because I never really got into the game. I think they're very, very clever games, though. Obviously started off Media Molecule into what we know. Even though Dreams, kind of discontinued, they are a very creative studio, maybe the most creative studio that PlayStation has. So firstly, again, we got Little Big Planet 1, PS3, the Game of the Year edition. So not just the base game. So that's pretty darn sweet. Definitely, we'll be doing videos. I like making this kind of video, right? Because we get to kind of recap, show all of these games off. But we are going to go into some deep dives into all of these games in the channel's future. Next up, we have Little Big Planet 2. And I like doing these two, or like seeing these different games from the different generations, because they also show off what was kind of like happening. So like the first game didn't have it, but like PlayStation Move. So this was the PlayStation Move kind of era. Again, I don't actually remember which Little Big Planet I saw being played, and I don't even know which one. I think I definitely played 1 and 2 to some extent. I probably rented them after I saw my cousin do it. Now here's the thing. This is actually from my brother-in-law, and this came, I guess, in a package deal. Not Little Big Planet 3. Eventually we'll get that one, but a game that I definitely remember. I remember like IGN Podcast Beyond talking about this game, but to be honest with you, if this didn't come in the pack, I may have forgotten this game existed, although I do remember it. Is Little Big Planet karting. And I remember the lead up to this game. I remember watching videos on this game. Like I said, I remember Podcast Beyond talking about it, but it's been so long. And I mean, this game, from my knowledge, at least like offhand knowledge, I don't think this game performed all that well. I would have forgotten this game exists. I don't know if I would have put this. I have like a spreadsheet that has all the games that I kind of want to get to my collection. I don't know if I'd ever put this game on that list. So there you go. There's the Little Big Planet trilogy, but not using Little Big Planet 3, which is fine. We'll eventually get that. Next up, this is one that, I want to start building this collection. I've made several videos on this franchise on this channel. I'll give you guys a second to try to think what it could be, but it is the Amazing Spider-Man. So now here's the deal. Web of Shadows, all these ones that have come out, Edge of Time, right? I played that era of games through, again, renting. This was my renting era, probably 2009 to 2013 or so, right? That was probably like a very heavy renting era for me. So a lot of games that I have played, I don't like. Dragon's Dogma, I got it now. I physically got it, but back then I rented it. So with the Spider-Man franchise, that's largely what I did. I can tell you with confidence, I've never actually played this game. Now, I've seen the retrospectives and the look back. From what I understand, this is the good one, and then Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the really bad one. I'd like to get all of them. I'd like to get, the Edge of Time and all that stuff, but Shattered Dimensions, right? But those games are very pricey, right? Those games are probably like $100 each. So we'll wait and kind of do those over time. But I'm happy. And you know what? By the way, I didn't even comment on the look. Little Big Planets, a lot of them looked really good. This one looks like brand spanking new. This one had somebody clean this one, before they delivered it. So there you go. Eventually, like I said, we'll do something on that as well. I'm gonna move ones that you can't see over here. Let's take a look now. Some of these I knew going in because I ordered them through the website, just so that we made sure that the disc came and the manual came. But I think I got a pretty good collection here I want to go over with you. So starting with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. This is a franchise that I've played. Honestly, I haven't played too much of. I can't say I beat either of the games because I haven't. Again, I've watched plenty of things on it, watched my friends play it. I have played them, but never owned them. So here you go. Finally, I can start to, get some of these. I had Star Wars Episode 3, the movie tie-in one, which we've talked about on this channel at least a little bit. I own that game. I freaking adore that game, and I guess my parents, because I did have it. I for sure had that game. My parents went on, as I've told you guys before, they went on a spree where they threw out a lot of stuff, and that was in there. But I don't have, the Knights of the Old Republic games. I never actually owned those. Next up, I have several of these games, and obviously big fan of the franchise. Crash Twins. Oh my god, because the cover is all green. I really like the cover of it. I actually think this this makes it look actually even cooler. So I've played this. I remember playing this game very briefly. I don't think I ever owned it, so this must have been a renting title too. Obviously, this was the era where we moved past like the greatest of all time kind of era of Crash, and we get to where some people love it, some people don't love it. And there's several. There's different racing games. After Team Racing that came out, there's plenty of others, and I have several of the originals, Crash Bash even. But I wanted to move up a little bit, right, years after that, and see what these games, were like, especially now, playing it with a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of expectations. So again, we'll eventually do something. And you know what? I really like it being transparent like that. So there you go. Okay, so this next one, this was actually extremely cheap, and I mean, this is I think this is my favorite of the franchise, maybe tied. Halo Reach. So fun fact with Halo, I definitely had Halo 1 and 2. Can't tell you where they are. Again, probably victim of something that happened back at home. But Halo Reach I love. Halo Reach, I remember distinctly going to my friend's house, and I've talked about this friend before, playing a lot of games at his house or watching him play. And it was like I don't even think I knew it was the release of this game, but I went over and they had already, both of my friends actually were there, and they were already playing through this game, in co-op. So I remember watching it for the first time and eventually playing it, and this is, either this, Halo 2 and 3. I really like Halo 2 and 3, quite a bit. So this is I like this. I like having this now. Very, very cheap. The Halo games, I think, are very easy to obtain physically. Okay, next up, and maybe we'll try to do all these, in a row here. We got 4 games from the more modern era, not necessarily the era we're in right now, but the era right before it. So, Alien Isolation. This is a game that I don't know if I own this. I know it's not I think it made its way through the subscription services. I did play it, maybe rented it. I guess my renting phase probably went longer than I, let on earlier, but this is an incredible game. Can't believe I didn't actually have it, and now I do. So there you go. PS4, again, a more modern one. This one, played it, didn't beat it. Did not beat it, have to beat it, although I, know what happens and saw what happens and all that jazz. From a great developer, one that we've talked about before, if you can believe it. Yes, Control. So never actually physically owned it. I think I own it. Either I own it or I guess I played it through the subscription service, but I almost made it through. This is a game a few years ago when I was in my phase of, okay, I'm going to beat these games now. Control was one that I, tried, and I just couldn't do it. Maybe it was too close to new games coming out. But I put in a pretty considerable amount of time. But also this is the Ultimate Edition. So you got that. So more than just the base. But great. I mean, come on, this thing looks so cool. So I'm glad to have it physically. I'd rather have them or even games that I've played through the subscription services. My goal is to, eventually get them in my hands. So that's kind of why I did a lot of this stuff. Okay, this one's actually, there's a few of these that are like this. This one is brand spanking new. It's got the plastic seal on and everything. This is for my parents specifically. Transformers Devastation. So I got to be honest, I've played The War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, but I have not. Those two are my favorites. And I've played a couple of the, I don't even know if you want to call them movie tie-ins, but I did play those too. But this is a game that I've never actually played. I've watched several videos on it. I know it's made by Platinum, so, a Bayonetta and all. I know it's very, very different than a lot of the games, Transformers games that I really, really love. I can't actually believe I've never played this, but this was later. This was definitely in my era of not playing games or beating games, right? So it makes sense that this would slip through the cracks. So I'm very happy to have this because now I already have Transformers Fall and War. So I got this, and now we can, start to do individual videos on all of them. Okay, I'm gonna find the last one here. Now this one actually wasn't, I think everyone so far we're sticking to the theme. This one wasn't for Christmas. This one was actually I'll make a separate video, I can promise you, separate video just on this game, but I got it on sale and I needed to have it for this video. It's The Crew. So, I mean, I'm not even a big fan of this game. I simply got it. The story behind this is very simple. Actually, well, it's actually a bit more complex, but I can go into it later on. Number one, they're shutting the game down, right, in March. So we're going to do a video on this game in March. That's the point of me having it, because ultimately, when that game goes offline, this will be, I mean, this was like $5, okay? But once the game is offline, this will be literally worth nothing. So there's that, I guess. Number two, I did actually have, I don't know if I had limited edition, but I definitely had The Crew. I remember the cover art very clearly, and I bought this. I bought this game day one, and I played it. This was the game that I thought could get me into racing. It's the only genre that I really can't get into. Like, Driver San Francisco is maybe like the only one, or MotorStorm, right? There's a couple. There's definitely a couple, but I could never really get into the genre of racing games. Forza, Gran Turismo, none of these games. So this is a game I tried. I wanted it to be which I don't know why I thought Ubisoft, that this would be the one to get me in. And I couldn't. It wasn't bad, but I didn't jive with it. So ultimately it kind of failed. But because it's shutting down all that jazz, we're going to give it one more go, okay? So I needed to have that one as well. And so those are all the games from the more current time. I want to go over the one other one that wasn't for Christmas, and bless my wife, she does a great job gift giving, and this was kind of on me, kind of on her. Ultimately, I do not have this version of this game. I actually have this on PS4. Now I have both. I actually see it as a win, to be honest with you. Metal Gear Solid, Phantom Pain. So when she brought this home, I thought, hey, there's no way I don't have this game, because I remember playing it. Didn't play it much. Actually, this is a game I want to go back to, play all the way through for a video, specifically because I just never gave this game the time it deserved or the love it deserved. But I actually, again, I don't own this on PS3. So I own it on PS4. Does it have, it has a small, maybe like a 2-page manual. Again, I look at this as a win. Now I have it on 2 different systems. That is completely fine. Okay, back to the Christmas catalog here. Let's go with this one. So, okay, this is a franchise that I think when I got into gaming more, probably more, and I don't know when this game came out, maybe 2009. So I think maybe around 2008, 2009, 2010, I saw this game online. It looked really good. I actually bought the first, it's a longer story. Let's just show it to you first. The Godfather II. So to continue the story I was saying, so Godfather 1, I bought from games. I remember this story pretty vividly. I remember watching videos on both of these games, and I went into GameStop because I wanted to go in order. So I got the Godfather 1, and the guy, I remember my dad was asking the guy questions, which is always an interesting thing when my dad does that, but he was asking the guy questions, and the guy had to try to describe, what the game actually was. Not necessarily is it for kids or not, but what kind of game is it? So I go home, and that had to be PS2. So I owned it, but I owned a used version of it. I played it. I really didn't like it. The first Godfather, and watching videos and all the stuff on these games, the Godfather 1 is a much more flawed game, but the Godfather 2 is actually looked at pretty darn highly. I've never touched it. I've never played it. I tried to rent it back, and it was never available. This was a game that's literally, this is a game that's always eluded me throughout my entire childhood, but I always saw great things about it in terms of the mechanics and stuff. So I needed this, and I'm really happy. I actually got it. Comes with a manual, everything. So this is a good one. I'm very excited to eventually go down that road. Oh, you know what? No, I lied. We still do have one more from the non-Christmas thing, and this one is my wife. Again, this is why she is top tier when it comes to this stuff, because even though the Metal Gear thing, this one makes up for it easily. Witcher 2. Didn't expect this. Witcher 2, she went to a bookstore and she found this. Number one, I didn't know it was 2 discs, so that's fun. But Witcher 2, I'm very, I played Witcher 3. We have Witcher 3 physically, but you can also get it digitally and all that. Played that a few years ago. Witcher 2, I don't even think I've actually played. I know for a fact I watched my friend play, at least the opening, when he's in jail. But I think I know the synopsis. I know what happens thanks to videos and stuff, but I don't actually think I've played this game. So looking forward, this is a good one. And I want to go back and even play Witcher 3 again sometime. Okay, we're left with, and I wanted to save these till the end, really the best part of this entire thing, okay? So, story, very briefly. again, I mentioned my parents often in this, in terms of, they're great parents, and they gave me, everything, and they got me into gaming and all that. I told you, with my dad getting me Crash Bash, and he had Max Payne and all that stuff. However, they threw out a bunch of my games a few years ago. I don't know why they did it. It's the only time in my life. They didn't throw out anything of mine when I lived there, but, something changed when I left. But one of the franchises, and I talk about this franchise all the time, I realized over the last year, I said, oh my dear God, I don't have these anymore. And I know I had them, right? Because of how much I talk about it. I've played these games many, many times. And so I'll just show it to you. The Sly Cooper franchise. So, okay, very small thing with this game. I don't actually think I ever owned the first game. I have the PS3 collection, so I own it, I guess, in a sense. I don't know if I ever had the PS2. My cousins in Canada had the PS2, and my cousins in Canada could have been the first time I ever saw the franchise, okay? So that's just a quick story there. So technically, they didn't throw out Sly Cooper 1. I don't think I ever owned it, but now I finally, and I mean, we'll do eventually. I keep promising we're going to do this, and one day we will. I'm going to do videos on all the Sly games. Eventually, there'll be plenty of videos on Sly, but, like this, oh my God. Like, this is a Bible. It's literally a Bible. It's so big. Love it. Honestly, really, really love it. Okay, so keeping with that theme, I know I had these two. Let's just show you both of them. Sly 2 and Sly 3. So, I mean, I talk about them, and I'm not lying. I've played these games these two specifically. Sly 1, I've only actually played like 2 or 3 times. That's a true story. Sly 2 and 3, 10 times each, easily, if not more, which is a lot for me. I know some people have played games like 30 times. 10 times for someone like me means that, it's like my favorite game of all time. I haven't played like any other game probably as much as these two. So yeah, I own these games, and I know I have them physically, like all that jazz. Obviously, I didn't over the last couple of years, but then I needed to get them back. So I got that. The only thing, and I got these like myself, like I ordered them for myself from my wife for me for Christmas. Greatest hits. I try to like apply that strategy where it's like you don't want the greatest hits, you want like the base one, but ultimately I just want the freaking game. I want the manual in the game, and that's kind of it. Okay, this is from a friend of mine who really went kind of overboard here, but I very much appreciate it, and we will put these to use in some way. I guess I'll probably show you both of these at the same time as well. This is like legit here. So number one, it's the greatest hits, okay? That diminishes it a little in terms of like price, but ultimately one thing that's very important is it's sealed. Never open. So that's insane. To me, that is insane. Final Fantasy VII. So like I've played Remake, never played the original. 3 discs, massive, thick, and wrapped. Now, I don't really want to unwrap it because, as we figured out, like, this is a pretty penny. Ultimately, I'm never going to sell them. I want to have them myself. But, as soon as you crack the seal, as soon as this thing gets broken, it's all over. I think what we'll do, I don't know. Like, I'll have to record myself opening it for the first time eventually when I play it, and we'll do, like, a retrospective video. And like I said, Final Fantasy 9. So 7 and 9. Never played either. I've told you guys before, Final Fantasy is a franchise, and we're going to make a video on this probably maybe next week, talking about games and franchises I want to try to tackle on this channel in 2024. Final Fantasy, as I've said since I started this channel, has been a franchise that has massively, again, eluded me, right? Yakuza would have been one, but I played almost all. I have like 4 games left in that franchise. I played all of them in 1 year. Final Fantasy is another one. I've never played the originals. I literally hadn't played any until like 13. So it's been many of these games I need to play. It's super cool that I have those in my collection. Those are kind of like the crown jewels now, and getting Sly back, right? But I think lots of diversity here, lots of different games, Little Big Planet, Sly, all that jazz. So let me know what you think. As I said, I like doing these videos just to, put them all in one spot, but we're going to do some individual videos, hopefully I got a stack over there. We got so many games to go through, and I believe on Friday, we'll be doing a retrospective, and going into January, we'll be doing more of those, okay? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.